Welcome back to the channel, folks, where in today's episode we look at an easily recognisable garden and wild plant known as the Foxglove or Digitalis purpurea. Foxglove sits in a family known as the Plantaginaceae or the plantain family. This tall plant with its familiar purple spike is seen both in gardens and woodland. In today's video, filmed in June-July 2025, we will not only be looking at the features and characteristics which will enable us to identify and find it in the field, but also the specific adaptations that the plant has made through centuries of time in order for it to successfully cross-pollinate using bees. Foxglove is known by a number of common vernacular names, principally around the thimble-like appearance and toxicity of the plant. Those names include goblin's gloves, witch's gloves, dead men's bells, and fairies' bells, or Manag Elchún in Welsh. Foxglove is a toxic plant containing the active principle digoxin, and when it is isolated and prepared correctly in the medical context can be used as a cardiac glycoside used in the treatment of heart failure, and this increases the heart's output by improving the blood flow by slowing heart rate and increasing the force of contractions. The Latin binomial is straightforward, with the prefix digitalis coming from digitus in relation to the bell-like corolla, which resembles a thimble which fingers could fit into. The prefix purpurea describes the simple colour of the plant, which is by and large purple. We depict foxglove in two contexts. First of all, as a garden escapee in various cultivar forms, and in the naturalised environment such as woodlands in open clearings, moorland and heathland, in coastal regions where it will grow on sea cliffs and rocky slopes, and in disturbed areas where it colonised disturbed sites, recently cleared land, or areas affected by fire. In this clip, we depict a garden escapee on a public footpath with the garden directly behind it. Compare the relative position of the flowers taken on this clip on the 1st of June with the clip that follows taken on the 1st of July. Hi folks, Wildlife Ranger here. We have spent some time imaging some of the foxgloves Digitalis purpurea from the garden escapee perspective, so that we could look at the flower structure and other features of the plant. Well, today whilst out looking for willow herb on the 30th of June, on this very hot end of June day, temperatures in excess of 30 degrees, we've come across these natural stands of foxglove, and it would seem a shame not to depict these plants in their natural state, which I'm overlooking a meadow at the moment, and this rather steep slope, you probably can't get the feeling of the incline. This rather steep slope is in a little clough overlooking it in a semi-ancient woodland. So this is foxglove in its natural state, and here we can see some of the flowers which are on the inflorescence. So I thought it would be just useful to image the plant in its habitat, in its natural environment, which is on hedge banks close to meadow in the semi-ancient woodland. As always, before we embark on our journey into the field, we look at the features and characteristics which will enable us to identify and find it. As always, we include a detailed botanical slide which may be stopped at any point for those who may wish to study the botany of the plant in more detail. The Foxglove is a member of the family Plantaginaceae, or the plantains. The flower colour is typically purple, but under cultivation may be pink, rose, yellow or white. It is a herbaceous biennial or short-lived perennial, growing up to 3 to 6 feet or 1 to 2 metres in height in year 2. Foxglove has typically 20 to 50 flowers arranged on a one-sided spike. It has 5 sepals which are 10 to 13 millimeters with an oval shape at the base and joined with an upper space shaped. It has 5 petals which are 4 to 5 centimeters in length, which form a bell-like chamber, to which at the base of the ovary there is a ring-like structure secreting nectar into the bell-like chamber. There are 4 stamens in 2 pairs, 2 long, 2 short, 1 stigma which has 2 flat lobes and 1 long style, and 1 ovary which is 2-celled. In the flower of foxglove, the male stamens mature before the female parts in a process known as protandry, which helps promote cross-fertilisation. The peak flowering time for foxglove is from May through to July. So let's take a quick look at the leaves of foxglove. The leaves are oval to spear shaped, and of course they appear as a basal rosette in year 1 and thereafter are spirally arranged up the stem, appearing soft and downy as they're covered with grey-white hairs, giving them a woolly texture. The size of the leaf, which is oval or spear shaped, has a blunt or pointed apex and can vary between 5 and 25 centimeters in length, with rounded teeth on the margin. The venation of the leaf may be best described as pinnate. These larger leaves, taking from the base of foxglove, show the larger basal leaf and the difference in colour between the upper surface and the lower surface, and the venation pattern, which can be best described as pinnate. Returning now to the flower of the foxglove, which is said to be zygomorphic, meaning that it is bilaterally symmetrical. And where we see zygomorphic flowers, it is usually indicative of a specific insect relationship in terms of pollination, which in this case is the bumblebee. This symbiosis is time-tried, where the insect gets a free nectar meal in return for transporting the pollen to cross-fertilise other plants. In the actinomorphic flowers, that is to say flowers which are symmetrical in more than one plane, such as the Asteraceae, there tends to be a more generalised form of pollinators. So let's have a look at how this plant has outthought the bee over thousands of years of evolution to optimally place it at the base of the ovary to ensure cross-pollination, as it presses its way forward to reach the nectar secreting ring at the base of the ovary as it moves up and into the bell-like flower tube. So let's have a look at some of these evolutionary adaptations that make these things possible. So as we can see, the larger base petal contains a protruding lip with upright hairs which helps the bee clamber into the corolla tube. The translucent spots in the flower corolla serve as visual guides for the pollinator, such as the bee, helping them to locate the nectar inside the flower. The bee interprets such light and signals within the UV spectrum, which is what it sees. If you remove the top petal or root petal, you will see the flower is composed of 2 pairs of anthers, a long pair on the outside and 2 shorter pairs on the inside, with the function of the longer anthers guiding the bee towards the aperture at the centre, which is the flask at the base of the corolla tube. In the following slide, we're going to attempt to explain the difficult to grasp concept of protandry, which is the sequential flowering of the reproductive structures designed to maximise cross-fertilisation. Protandry is where the male reproductive parts ripen first. So in the case of foxglove, which has two pairs of stamens, it is only when both the outer long stamens and the shorter inner stamens release their pollen does the female stigma and style split and become receptive. As the plant flowers from the bottom up, this means this process will have completed and the older lower flowers will likely be female. Now, when a bee arrives at the plant, it is instinctively its nature to begin at the bottom of the plant and work its way up. And this has the net effect of bringing new pollen introduced to the lower female flowers, enabling cross-fertilisation to occur. Now, when the bee ascends the spire and visits the male flowers secreting their pollen, it is likely to pick up a new dusting of pollen as it thrusts its head down the petal tube and into the nectar flask, therefore leaving the flower with another load of pollen, which should in turn reach another flower as it repeats the cycle from the bottom up. In this way, the plant, by sequencing or phasing its flowering sequence, can optimise maximally cross-pollination, ensuring that the genetic integrity of the species is maintained over time. It is also worthy to mention self-pollination in passing. Let's suppose it was a bad bee year and very few bees visited the flower. The benefit of having the stamens attached to the petal tube is that when the petal skirt is shed after approximately 6 days, the opportunity for the short stamens to rub the style and cause self-fertilisation will occur, thereby ensuring self-pollination has occurred as a failsafe. In the first clip that follows, we can see the stigma and style of the older flower, and if we look carefully enough, we can see that the stigma has actually split and is receptive for pollen. Finally, we conclude on the dependent ecology, the plant being the larval host for the caterpillar of the foxglove pug, otherwise known as Eubothecia pulchellata. This cheeky moth seals off the bell or floret and feeds on the stamens and developing seeds. This small moth of 20 to 24 millimeters can be seen flying during the day in the months of May and June. Well folks, that's it from me, and I do hope you've enjoyed this foray into the life of the foxglove. Once again folks, thank you very much indeed for watching. If you have liked or enjoyed these videos or found them interesting or educational, please like, share and subscribe to help this channel become a success and bring the next in the series. All that remains to be said, in the words of Maggie, our international symbol of floral appreciation, is whatever the weather is, go outdoors and enjoy it.